ultimate Browns, one of the things that we've been seeing in the conversation that we've had so far is that the Cleveland Browns have been talking to individuals such as John Harbaugh. And, there's been some rampant speculation as whether John Harbaugh is actually interested in his job, or the Cleveland Browns, are they a realistic opportunity or a landing spot for John Harbaugh, given the fact that his age and where he is in his career and the trajectory of what the Cleveland Browns need in terms of a slight rebuild and actually something that, the Browns are in a position where Harbaugh is not. Harbaugh has been listed as a guy who's been one of the best coaches. He has had an MVP on his roster in Lamar Jackson. He's won 2. He could have won 3. You had a consistently strong running game with a Hall of Fame, walking Hall of Famer in Derrick Henry. And you've been with a team in the Baltimore Ravens who you've won a Super Bowl championship with, and as a perennial guy to be a Super Bowl candidate. Why would you want to mess around and come in here and play around with the Cleveland Browns? I'm not sure that he has that in his purview. Let's take a look at this. This is on 92.3 The Fan on Twitter. This was Scott Petrak. He talked about this on Basket and Phelps with Darryl Ryder filling in. He says, Andrew Berry talked about finding a coach that fits where the Browns are in this transition period. I don't think that fits with what John Harbaugh is. He's 63. I'm sure he wants to win right now. And this is some of the things that I talked about on UCSS today, was the fact that when you look at it, it's all about the trajectory. I made a joke and said, man, listen, if I'm, if I'm divorced or if I'm not with my wife and unfortunately I'm widowed, or God forbid any of that type of stuff happens, I'm not going to be a 44, 45-year-old dude running around in the club with somebody 25, 26. It's not going to work for me. It's not going to work. I need somebody that understands where I'm at trajectory rise in my life. I need to be with somebody that understands intimately what it is to not have no energy for all the foolishness. I ain't got no time for the growing pains. I don't got no time for trying to let you figure it out. I wish you nothing but the best of luck. You're going to have some growing pains. I can't be arguing at 11 o'clock at night. I got to go to work in the morning. I need somebody that understands that same type of energy. I'm bored. Whoa. What you mean you bored? You're going to have to figure that out yourself. Yeah, well, I'll get you a puppy or something. And I ain't even going to do that because I'm going to end up having to take care of that. So at this point, when you have Harbaugh and what he is, he's a coach that's primed to win. He's a coach that expects to win. He's a coach that wants to go back and compete to show the Baltimore Ravens, you tripped. You let me go. You really need to rethink this, because let me show you what I'm doing with this team. And for him, it makes a little more sense to say, I want to go coach with a team that's a little more ready, a little more readily available. If I take a look at the 2 rosters and the 2 positions, I look at it from a standpoint of the Giants. Giants got Scatterboo looked pretty good as a rookie. He's coming back off injury now. Malik Neighbors has shown some things. He's coming off injury. But you got Jackson Dart. You got, a lot of studs up front on the defensive line. It is a big major market. It's a team that is has a little more solidified in some other places, and it's a huge market. If you want to put yourself back on TV quick, New York Giants. Take a look at the Falcons. Falcons are where you got some, Pitts, Drake London, actually Bijan Robinson. They got some stuff. I don't know how you feel about Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins, but the Falcons have some stuff. They play in a nice dome. You ain't got to worry about the outside games. Baltimore, snowing and things like that. That could take a toll on you. One of the things that you look at with Lamar Jackson, his style of play, running around. Maybe he's looking for another guy that's not running around doing a lot of different stuff and having to do it outside in the cold weather. So there's some options for him other than where we talk about with the Browns. Now, I do think this, and I talked about this on the show too. This is an opportunity, I think, is one of them things that you find out in corporate America. You take the interview, and both sides kind of already understand that the other side is really not truly interested. I think, you can, it's a fact finding, situation for Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam. You can bring him in an interview and he'll give you your thoughts on Shedeur Sanders. You bring him into an interview to get his thoughts on how they go about doing their thing in Baltimore, your systems, your operation, your scouting, how you go about player acquisition, like all acquisition. It's about a lot of different things. And so you can gain a lot of information and intel from a guy who's a division rival, knows your program, plays against you twice a year, and you could do some self-scouting. Also, for a win-win situation for Harbaugh is, hey, they didn't already had rumors of he wants $20 million, 10 for his staff. He goes in and, he gets Jimmy Haslam to, talk and hey, Jimmy is offering me $25 million. He's also giving me free reign and giving me some opportunity to control the roster a certain way. So now you take those little things and those offers that you learned that you got from the Browns, and you take that right to the Falcons, take that to the Giants, take that to the Raiders, and say, hey, what can you offer me? The Browns has already offered me this over here, and Jimmy will do it. He gave Deshaun that bag. So it's a win-win situation. I think when you boil it down and you look at both sides, I don't think this is a situation where both sides is actually super interested in one another. It's just part of the interview process. A lot of these candidates that are getting jobs, this is a good look for them because they get their name in the news cycle. They get their name out there as guys that are on the radar. We used to do this in corporate America. There's 3 or 4 positions that I applied for that where I was in the company in corporate America for 8 to 10 years. And there's jobs that I applied for that I knew I wasn't necessarily qualified for, but it's a good opportunity to go in there to show that you can think at a higher level, that you could interview well, and to get your name in rotation. Hey, G. Bush Garrett came in here. I didn't think he was going to, be as prepared as he was for the interview, but he had a lot of good ideas about revenue. He had a lot of high level ideas about our operations or our development or developing his associates or incentive programs and different things like that, increasing revenue. So you go in there, you show that you can think on that level, you show that you have interest in leadership, and now your name is in the mix. Hey, and just guess what? It keeps me motivated. It keeps me, hey, they gave me the interview. Now, if I don't get it in that department, I could go to another department and say, hey, I was up for a candidate for this position. Because I didn't get it there, my name may be floated for another position. So a lot of up and coming coaches go into these interviews as a way to get their name out there and a way to show that, hey, like I have aspirations. And it's also a way for the organizations to talk to young minds. Some of these young guys have very innovative thought processes and very creative. Maybe you may not hire them this time, but guess what? If it's a really great interview and it was a vibe, maybe down the line, a couple of years later, your name comes up and now you are the candidate because you've shown that you have the ability to really do a good job and convey what you're all about. So I think a lot of these times it's just about basically going through the process, and the process is important because both sides can really gain some knowledge from the other. There's a guy